This Saturday, February the 26th, close to 200 riders will take on the 2022 UCI Esports World Championships.
Just one woman and one man will earn the right to wear the rainbow stripes for the next 12 months in the virtual world. They will fight hard over 55 kilometres with 944 metres of climbing on Zwift's futuristic New York course.
The winners of the inaugural World Championships, Ashleigh, Moolman-Pasio and Jason Osborne, will be back to defend their titles against a very strong field, many of whom have proven themselves recently in the ZRL.
Yes, the Zwift Racing League. You can catch all the action live on GCN Plus this coming Saturday, February the 26th at 6 p.m. GMT. But coming up now, everything you need to know about the route, the game and the riders to watch.
Let's start then by looking at the course that is going to be used on Zwift this year. So they're using the Knickerbocker course in the NYC map. So that's Zwift's futuristic version of Central Park, basically. That's 2 laps plus an additional climb to the finish, covering 54.9 kilometres and, as mentioned earlier, 944 metres of elevation.
Yeah, it is a tough circuit to say the least, akin to something perhaps like an Ardennes Classic, maybe. A Flesh Wallon style outcome, perhaps? Well, yeah, the winner is going to need to climb exceedingly well, let's put it that way, and also have some serious punch. The main climb, the Tearjerker Hill, will feature each lap and it's 1.6 kilometres long with an average gradient of 6.1%. But it does hit peaks of 14% and it's going to be covered 3 times during the race.
Wow.
Yeah.
The rest of the circuit barely contains a flat kilometre either, does it? This is going to be 55 kilometres of all-out racing from start to finish, with the winner decided at the top of that final ascent of the main climb.
Power-ups will play a key role too, with 3 different ones available throughout this World Championship race. The draft power-up can potentially be unlocked 3 times at the start of the sprint arch at kilometre 7.3, 29.7 and very strategically at kilometre 52. Now remember that this power-up increases the draft effect experienced by a rider by 50% for a period of 30 seconds.
Nice.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the aero power-up is available at kilometres 9.7 and 32. That one reduces your CDA by 25% for 15 seconds. Riders will find this available at the top of the K or QM points.
Yeah, and then finally the feather, which reduces your weight by 10% for 15 seconds. That can be earned at kilometre 22.5 and 44.6.
All in-game equipment, meanwhile, will be neutralised as such. So no matter what bike you're using, everybody is going to be on a level playing field. So Zwift have teamed up with Wahoo this year to ensure that the competition has some stringent measures in place to ensure fairness and data accuracy. A little more on that later, but the main point is that Wahoo Kicker V5s have been sent out to all competitors to make sure that standardised equipment is being used across the board.
Yeah, so that's close to 200 trainers shipped around the world to each rider in time for the race, which is quite the logistical mission. And each rider must use the trainer assigned to them.
I wonder if they get to keep them at the end of the World Championships. That'd be quite a nice product to receive and keep, wouldn't it?
It would. If it's anything like last year, no is the answer.
Oh.
They had to send it back.
Or maybe they'll get lost in the post side on the way back then.
Yeah, knowing bike riders, I think a fair few will get lost. Right, the start list contains a mix of established professionals on the road, plus up-and-coming e-racing talent who've been busy climbing the ranks in cycling's newest discipline.
This year marks the first time that the Continental Qualifiers have been held as an open pathway to give any rider the opportunity to make it to the start line of the UCI Esports World Championships. So in total, 50 riders made it from Europe, Pan America, Oceania, Africa and Asia, and that was out of 550 people who were eligible.
Nice. Zwift hosted races on each continent and the top 5 won a place at the Worlds in their respective national squads. So those riding in the Premier Division of the Zwift Racing League also gained automatic selection to these qualifiers, as did level 5 plus Zwifters who've been auto-categorised by WTRL as Category A or above during designated community events.
Plenty of routes into this race then. And with that though, the start list is now fully announced and there is some serious talent to look out for. So let's jump in and see who the key riders to watch out for are.
There will be a field of 90 in the men's category, and defending world champion Jason Osborne will be back to see if he can clinch a second consecutive world title for Germany.
The Germans are going to be the champions. It's Osborne who's going to be the world champion for the first time in esports, a trendsetter, and Germany have it.
He lines up alongside 4 other teammates to support him in that goal too. Now, coming across from a rowing background, Osborne won a silver medal at the 2013 Rowing World Champs. His win at last year's UCI Esports World saw him take up a place as a stagiaire for De Koning Quicksteps. It's going to be interesting to see how his performance has improved come race day after gaining that World Tour experience.
And whether he gets another stagiaire somewhere. I'm not sure he can do 2 stagiaires.
Did he not get a contract?
No, he didn't get a contract in the end this year, I don't believe.
Interesting.
Osborne, though, will face some stiff competition, starting off with the Australian squad, who I think are the red-hot favourites to take the win this year. They've got 7 riders on the start line, including 2 Zwift Academy winners, plus current pros for Alpecin Fenix, Jay Vine and Alex Bonja.
Whoa. Vine has shown incredible form on the road since that Academy win, with notable performances including 2nd overall at the Tour of Turkey and a 3rd place finish on stage 14 of the Vuelta a España, no less. Bonja, the most recent winner of the Zwift Academy, also showed some incredible talent, didn't he, and potential throughout the selection process. And whilst he's yet to race on the road for Alpecin, he too will be a big favourite of the win, although hopefully he's shaken off that knee injury.
Yes, fingers crossed, but if he is on the sort of form that you and I saw him at in Mallorca, he's going to be hard to beat.
He will, yeah.
Plus, he's got a cracking mullet.
He does.
Must give him some sort of an advantage. Also riding for Australia is Freddie Ovett, and he'll be another key rider for that team. He's been up there in pretty much every Zwift race that he's been a part of, has a serious sprint, and also is a very, very good climber. It's a key ingredient right there for this year's route. And he's also stated, I heard in a Zwift podcast the other day, that this is his main goal of the year.
Is it? Whoa. Right, Ovett currently races on the road for Legion of LA, so should bring some strong road form to the line. And those 3 are going to be backed up by Ben Hill, Aidan Sinclair, Torben Partridge Madsen and Sam Hill as well.
Is Sam doing it, is he?
Sam from the Zwift Academy. So, I mean, arguably, in his Zwift race, I think he's even got the measure of Alex Bonja, hasn't he? Controversial, perhaps, but yeah, he's my one to watch from that
squad. Well, I hope
squad.
He's got the same form as well, because the numbers he was putting out were beastly, weren't they?
Beastly?
Beastly. I don't know where that came from. We'll leave it in. Anyway, perhaps the biggest potential wildcard on the start list is Nico Roche, who retired from the World Tour last year after spending 17 years as a pro rider, netting wins at the Vuelta, Tour of Beijing and the Route du Sud, plus a top 5 finish at the Vuelta a España to boot. He will of course be representing Ireland, but the main question will be how much of that form he's held since his last pro race back in October, and indeed how much that form transfers over to the E-World.
Lionel Vyazin is another good pick. The 32-year-old has had a prolific career in esports, haven't he? Previous Belgian Zwift national champ and multiple winner at the Zwift Racing League for Canyon Esports. He won the European qualifiers, which was decided in a bunch sprint. So he's going to be happy if it comes down to a group kick.
He will be, won't he?
Although he didn't win any at the ZRL this year, did he? No bunch kicks?
No, he hasn't won the ZRL for the last 2 series.
Yeah.
I don't believe.
Okay.
So he might have his work cut out. However, he will be joined by Matthias de Roos, who will arguably lead the Belgian squad's chances, because de Roos is one of the top-ranked riders on Zwift Power and has been another consistent point scorer on the ZRL. We think both riders' e-racing experience will prove extremely valuable. Although I was surprised to see Lennart Turgell's not on the start list.
He's at the Tour of Rwanda.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
IRL.
Indeed, yeah. He wasn't fancying his chances, IRL, but he said you couldn't imagine much more of a contrast between racing in your bedroom to racing at altitude in a road race in Africa. But anyway, there we go.
Well, best of luck in Rwanda.
Exactly, yeah. Etienne Van Empel is another rider to watch out for. He's ridden the Giro d'Italia and been a pro on the road for 10 years, riding for the likes of Roompot and the Italian team Vini Zabu. The Dutchman will be a potential outside bet to take the win, and with 3 teammates in support and strong climbing capabilities. This year's route, got to say, it does look tailor-made for him.
It does, doesn't it? Similarly, though, another rider with Grand Tour experience is Liam Bertazzo of Italy. He'll be joined by only one other teammate, Matteo Cigala.
Yeah, Cigala qualified for the event through the Continental qualifiers, working his own way to the start line under his own steam.
Other key riders to look out for include Ollie Jones, winner of the first ever Zwift Academy on the men's side from New Zealand, Chris McClinchy of Ireland, and James Barnes of South Africa, who proved a key asset in helping his team Next Esports to the overall win at the ZRL for the last 2 series. And many people say that he is the most successful ZRL rider of all time.
I say that.
Yes. Well, understandably so. Like I said, the results have been incredibly consistent over the last 2 series, haven't they?
Unbelievable, yeah. Right, now on to the women's race. There will be 87 riders on the start line, fighting for the win on the exact same course as the men.
Ashleigh Moolman-Pasio for South Africa will be the main favourite as defending champion. She, of course, rides for SD Works on the road, and she's one of the best climbers in the world, both on the road and indeed on Zwift. We caught up with her earlier this week to hear how her preparation was going ahead of the event.
I think, it's a longish race, being 50, 53, 54 kilometers, 3 times up the climb, the final time obviously to the finish line. So I think it will be, also a race of attrition. It's about, fueling during the ride, saving where you can. But then also, I think in my case, it would be in my best interest to have a hard race, because I do feel as a cyclist coming from the road and all the preparation I've done for the road season, I do feel like I have good endurance as well. But yeah, it has been also quite interesting with the slight changes that have happened within sort of Premier League or Zwift racing in terms of the 100% trainer difficulty. So that has been, something that I've also had to adjust to, and especially with a climb like the New York KOM, it's got really steep segments. So it's about, it has meant training on the course, on the climb, getting used to those really steep kicks, and then the resistance of the trainer. But yeah, I'm feeling really confident. I've done my prep. I've rode on Zwift this past week. I've been on Zwift 5 days out of 7, so I feel like, I'm feeling prepared and ready and excited for the race.
Great Britain are going to have a big team at the Worlds this year. 9 riders on the start line, including some key e-racing talent. You've got Hayley Simmons of the Movistar E-team and Mary Wilkinson for Canyon Esports. And they will be joined by Ashleigh Gardner, the current women's Everesting world record holder, and Zoe Langham, who has impressed all through the recent Zwift Racing League, and also made her way to the start line via the European qualifiers.
A final year medical student, no less as well, isn't she? Langham recce'd the route actually with Manon last week, so here are her thoughts about what lies ahead in terms of terrain.
I have to ask, how many times have you recce'd this course already?
So it's been about 5 times so far though. It's quite a tough course to recce. So I've wanted to do it that many times so far.
And what do you think of the course? I'm guessing as a hill climber and your success on the New York courses, you're quite pleased with this course?
Yeah, I think it is going to be really tough, especially given it's 2.5 laps and finishes up the climb. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to be tough, but I guess I'm happy it's got a good mix. Can't complain too much.
And have you had any chat about what the team tactics might look like, or anything you can tell us?
So team tactics wise at the moment, we kind of waiting on doing a recon, certainly on the female side of things altogether, to see what we think might work where. Places like here, there's definitely opportunities for a team attack, because a lot of people are going to be thinking about the main climb, and as you can see here, you've got 10% gradient, and it's a decent climb that you could definitely go for an attack. Equally, when you've just come off the main climb, that's always a good area to attack, because people are tired, no one's expecting anything to go, and you've got past that main bit of danger, but then that's a great place when people are hurting to kind of put in a little attack. It's the start of the climb, as you can tell. But yeah, it's kind of 7% pretty tough from the get-go, but I think the group will actually stay together on this bit reasonably, because you can still draft a bit here really. It'll be worth sitting in, I think, and then we're coming up to the part that kind of eases out and flattens again. It's been good having this season to get used to that 100% trainer difficulty, because I don't think many of us used it before now. So yeah, this is definitely why I'm changing my cassette, making sure I've still got enough gears to get over this.
You're not doing like 20 RPM.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an interesting kind of finish as well, because it's a climb and then a slight decline and then another little climb.
I thought we were nearly at the top of this climb, but we're not.
This is like the actual banner coming up. So you can see you've still got, 15% climb up to the banner as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be, do you save your power up and use it now, or do you use it earlier on to make a break for yourself? Really good question. Not one I really have the answer to.
And it is just so much harder on the legs when you've got that I find anyway, steep, flat.
And you're just constantly having to change gears on this course. Like, you really don't have time to, usually there's no race, you're sat in the pack, nothing's really popping off because everyone's quite tired. You can kind of sit back and, relax and get your breath back. But on this course, there's just none of that. It's, okay, changing down gears for this, descent, changing up because I've just hit another climb.
Thank you very much for having me, Zoe.
No problem. I hope you enjoyed that.
It's mostly enjoyable, apart from the climb. Good luck in the race.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining me.
Zoe Langham there, giving us detailed insight as to what we can expect from this course. Sticking with GB for just one moment longer though, one notable absentee from the team is Beth McKeever.
That's right. So she amassed the highest number of points in the whole ZRL, and yet she hasn't been selected by Team GB, and she wasn't able to take part in the continental qualifiers because she'd had a crash in real life beforehand. And it just makes me wonder whether or not national teams still don't quite know how to select
it's all
the
new,
best
isn't
team.
It?
Exactly.
It's all new, so they probably are learning basically as they go along. But yeah, I think she'll be sorely missed.
She will be sorely missed, yeah. Right, there will be 9 riders for the USA as well. Perhaps the favourites among them include Kristen Kulczynski, who has also been ranked number 1 on the Zwift Power in the past.
And who has done 70,000 plus kilometres on Zwift in the last few years.
That is true, yeah. She nearly got Ashleigh Moolman-Pasio at a summit finish in the ZRL the other week as well. She pushed her very close indeed, which is remarkably impressive. And, also got to be said, she helped Connor, Ollie and Manon in their attempt to beat the Movistar E-Racing team.
Well, don't forget, Si, that I was also with Connor, Ollie and Manon.
Yeah, you did do a couple of K, didn't you? She dropped all of you, didn't she?
Anyway. Very true.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, Kulczynski will be joined by Jackie Godby, physician and ex-Ironman athlete. Godby actually is another prolific rider on the ZRL, isn't she? And will likely be a key rider to watch on race day, especially in light of her climbing ability.
Yeah, and like in the men's race, Australia also has a bit of a super team. Spearheading it will be Sarah Giganti, who races on the road for Movistar. Runner-up back in 2020, Giganti has proven performances in the virtual world on her palmarès. She's also a previous national champion on the road.
At about 18, wasn't she, as well at the time?
That's right, yeah. And you'd think this course would suit her, climber with a sprint.
You'd have thought so, yeah. I mean, Sarah Giganti is an incredible talent, isn't she? Both in real life and on Zwift. I think she's got a great chance of taking the World Championships. Also, one of the riders from the latest Zwift Academy, Rachel Wales, is also competing for Australia. She was solid as well, wasn't she?
She was indeed,
so they have got a very good squad indeed, Australia. Maud the Beast Ouderman, talking of the Zwift Academy, will take part for Holland. She won that Zwift Academy, of course, and is now at current pro for Canyon SRAM. Now, Ouderman displayed huge numbers and talent, you've got to say, while she was winning that Zwift Academy. She's only 18. She's not been at her best, I wouldn't say, in the recent ZRL events, and some way off what we saw at the Zwift Academy, but she has been on some pretty hard training camps with Canyon SRAM at the time, hasn't she?
That's right, yeah, but you're right, she hasn't featured up there in the results, so that's going to be interesting. Another former Zwift Academy winner, on the start list. Ella Harris of New Zealand, she's still pro on the road for Canyon SRAM. And then another big hitter from the ZRL, Lois Addergeest of the Netherlands, who has performed exceptionally well, hasn't she? She's got a formidable sprint on her.
It would not be a surprise at all to see Addergeest take the win on Saturday. I'm going to be really interested to see how these races play out, I've got to say.
Yep.
There's no doubt that that climb is tough, but it is divided up into chunks. That said, again, from what I've been hearing, everyone that's doing it is expecting this to be a super tough event from start to finish.
Yeah, it is an unbelievable opportunity, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
To become a bona fide UCI World Champion, there are going to be some nerves on the start line. One thing we haven't mentioned as well is how vital the director sportif role is going to be in terms of communicating to the riders what's going on in the race.
Yes. I was surprised actually when I first started really getting into watching the Zwift racing, how vital all the tactics and the communication with the DS is within the Zwift teams, and getting even more important as the whole sport progresses, isn't it? However, you've got to say that this race is significantly longer to what we're used to watching on those ZRL series, which might swing things in favour of some different types of riders, would you guess?
I don't know, it is going to be interesting, isn't it? I mean,
it's almost twice the length in terms of duration of some of them.
Yeah, compared to some of them, not all of them though.
No.
There've been some like hour-long plus races. I think a lot of it is who's going to put the time in to scope the courses out. I think that's been shown to be really, really critical in the ZRL.
Do you know what might hinder Nico Roach apart from his lack of experience on the platform?
No.
I heard in another Zwift podcast I was listening to that he doesn't have a fan.
He's got no fans.
He doesn't use fans. He doesn't like the dry air blowing onto his skin.
Oh, I see what you mean. So he won't have a literal fan?
No. He's just banking on it being cold in Ireland at the time that he does it.
He's going to be the hottest man on the planet by the end of that, and not in a good way.
He already thinks he is. Anyway, time to move on to our predictions for the men's and the women's race. Would you like to go first, Si?
Yeah, all right. I'm going to go for two Zwift Racing League legends. I'm going to go with James Barnes for the men's, representing South Africa. And
hard to go wrong with James, isn't it?
Well, it is really, except, like we said, you know, he's proven in the virtual world, but not in the real world. So, you know, there's always that slight element of risk there. But another ZRLer, Zoe Langham. Yep.
Good tips, I would say.
Thank you very much.
I'm going down a different path. I'm going with Freddie Ovett. Not done many of the ZRLs, has he? Because Legion of Los Angeles haven't been competing. But I know, like I said earlier, he's really targeting this. And I just can't see past Ashleigh Moolman-Pasio on this course. Given what we saw in the final round of the ZRL series just gone, she'll be focused on this, she'll be flying, she can't be beaten.
Very different course though, that last round. This is a bit more explosive. I don't know. Let us know your favourites in the comments section. And don't forget as well to join us for the race on Saturday. It's almost straight after Omloop Het Newsblad on GCN+, isn't it?
Don't miss the cobbles either.
No.
Anyway, thank you very much for watching our preview show, and we will see you on Saturday.